Welcome to all of the presenters, the salespeople, the entrepreneurs. If you're a politician, if you're a teacher, if you are a presenter in any way, if you're a person that has to communicate with a group of people, even if it's a small group, anywhere from 2 to 2,000 or 200,000, uh, I want you to pay attention to this video. One of the biggest mistakes that most speakers make is they have questions and answers at the end of their presentations. Let's talk about that. So you might be asking, Dwayne, what's wrong about having a question and answer session at the very end of my presentation? Well, I want you to look at it like this. As the speaker, whenever you present in front of a group, your objective is to get people to do something or feel something, or feel a certain way, or think about something differently. So you have to set a certain tone, right? And the best way to set that tone, you want people, of course, to remember you and remember what you said, let's say weeks later. You want them to take action and do whatever it is you're telling them, right? We're talking about persuasion and influence here. So if you're influencing a person, you want to keep in mind when you're speaking, the main things that people remember is the way that you open up, the first things that you said, the tone you set, and then the last things that you said. It's setting the tone. People remember that stands out to them. Remember that out of all the information that people hear, they're probably only going to retain maybe 10% of it a week later. So your job is to make sure that you have them retain the most important parts. So the way that you do that is you don't want to tell these awesome stories, have this emotional connection. Now you got people connected and following you. And after you set that tone, at the very end, you have some people asking questions and answers. And now they just begin to dissipating the energy. And now you have people changing the energy and the tone of everything that you just set forth and all of the work that you just put down. So I'm going to give you another example. Public speaking is like a sport. Not just speaking, but communication in general. Whenever you have two people talking, it's a sport. It's like an offense and a defense. Usually the person that's asking questions is the person that's usually on the offense. We're talking sales here. I'm talking a sale conversation when either I'm selling you or you're selling me, right? To do something. The person that's asking the questions are usually on the offense. They usually have a little more power. The person who's answering the questions is usually on the defense, meaning they have to defend themselves and explain themselves, right? So for example, let's say for instance, if a person can ask you, they say, hey, how much does something cost? Now they just took some power because now they're kind of directing which way the conversation should go. So now you can answer it and say, oh, it costs $3.99. But now you're giving up some of your power because now you're allowing them to direct the path of the conversation. So instead of you just answering a question, what you would do is you flip it and you go on offense and you ask the questions. And you say, hold on, let me qualify you first. Tell me a little bit more about what you're looking for, what you need, what are your challenges, concerns, and then you take that information and then you can influence them based on what you know that they want. So now that's why, again, if you're asking the question, you're on the offense, you have a little more power. The same thing applies to a speech, though. Is when you're, again, like I said, when you're giving this powerful presentation and this talk, you want to finish on a strong note with telling them what to do, how they should potentially think, or at least giving them an idea on some things to think about. And telling them, engaging their feelings on how they should feel about something. So that's your job as a persuader. You have to take responsibility for both making sure that what you're saying is on point, but making sure that they're understanding what you're saying. And that's why you keep your power, right? Keep your power by not asking questions and answers at the end, because then the energy is going towards whatever those last things that people hear. The last thing a person should hear should not be an answer to a question that some random person asks. Here's another point. You're probably saying, well, when should I have questions and answers if I'm going to have them at all? So now that's a good question. Either have them at the beginning of your presentation or have them in the middle. If you have it at the beginning of your presentation, that's a great opportunity for you to get people engaged. Say, hey, what are some of your expectations? What are some of your concerns about this topic we're about to go into? Then you can kind of just jot those questions down, have people write their questions down, and then as you present, you can begin to answer those questions throughout the presentation. Or in the middle, you could have an intermission and you have people do their questions and answers during the middle of the presentation. And then the second half of your presentation, now you're answering questions. My main point is, if some people are going to say, you know, Dwayne, I'm still going to ask questions and answers at the end. All right, if you want to do that, that's fine. But I'm going to encourage you this. Just make sure you always recap. You always have to have at least 2 to 3 minutes or more where after the question and answer is all done, where you have to re-emphasize the information and your message to them again so that you're now reprogramming their mind to do, to act, to feel based on what you want them to do. You're the presenter, you have the power, you're the expert. And so they're supposed to walk away with what you want them to walk away with by you having the last word. So that's why they always say, who's got the last word? Who's got the final word? As the speaker, it should be you. So with that being said, more tips, watch more videos, and this is me, your platform partner, your hustling homie. Yes, it is Jackson, all about making things happen, and I look forward to seeing you on the stage.